Good morning, Javatarians. Welcome back. We're going to talk a little more about loops, but this time we're going to put it in the context of the scenario we've been working with for a while, the crab and lobster world. So when we populated the world, we made 8 worms by using 8 separate lines of code. Now that we know about loops, we can save ourselves a lot of typing by using one line of code and just putting it in a loop that's going to operate 8 times. So again, the 3 parts we need. We need an initialization. So I'm going to make a variable called I, an integer, and make it equal to 0. I used counter last time, but frankly you'll see I used a lot more, so I just want you to get used to that practice. And the while statement, which runs the loop, right? So we want while equal to be less than 8. If it starts at 0 and goes up to 8, but not including 8, you'll get 8 worms. We put that in braces. And again, the very important part of the increment, we need to change the value of the variable. And here we have a loop that will put a worm in a random place, and we'll do so 8 times because we're starting at 8, or starting at 0 and going up less than 8. So just to check that works, we can compile it. Okay. And now when we create a new world, we compile the world. We've got our 8 worms, but with just one line of code inside of a loop. Yeah. We can do the same thing with a lobster. Okay. Suppose we want 3 lobsters in our world. We can take that one line of code and put it inside a loop as well. The same 3 principles apply. We need to reinitialize our counter back to 0. We're going to have a while loop that goes up to 3. And inside that loop is both our increment and the new lobster. And so now we have a loop that operates 3 times, 0, 1, and 2. And each time it's going to add an object, a lobster. And what makes it not an infinite loop is the increment. Now when we compile it, well, it doesn't look like we've got 3 lobsters, but that's because we put them all in the same place. They're all at 100, 100, same x and y coordinate, so they're all in there. They're just on top of each other. I'm going to make one slight change so that they end up in different places. What I'm going to do is make the x-coordinate 100 times I. And since I changes with each iteration of the loop, the coordinate's going to change with each iteration of the loop. So I'm going to have the lobster for I equals 0 is going to be at 100 times 0, 0, 0. Then when we make a lobster with I equals 1, it's going to be at 100 times 1, or 100, 100. And last but not least, when I equals 2, we get a lobster at 100 times 2, or 200, 200. I compile that, and there's my 3 lobsters, 0, 0, 100, 100, and 200, 200. So you can do more with the counter than just use it as a counter. You can use it inside the loop for mathematical calculations or changing what actually takes place inside the loop. So next time we see each other, we'll work with loops a little bit more. Thanks for listening.